So some pictures have been taken already during this trip from the Dutch trade delegation from the partners, and of course they've looked at the differences and similarities between the way we produce the Netherlands and the way it's being produced in Uganda, and see where there perhaps gaps that the Dutch industry might help. Of course, there are of course some differences in terms of the kind of cows that are walking around in Uganda. At least I haven't seen these type of cows in the Netherlands. But, perhaps you have. And you see a typical Dutch cow. And this was in Uganda. Checking with so they have exposed them to these countries as well. This is a typical Dutch. You may have seen them while you're driving along the way. Yes. And they're also looking at the type of farms and what kind of farms. They're much larger often than the farms we have here in the Netherlands.
How are these Dutch farms doing?
They must be doing really well. If they're real Dutch, then
I can maybe answer it. I think in general you could say that they're actually doing very well, and they're, of course, we are always experimenting with crossbreeding, but when it comes to the climate, and this is on a high altitude, this picture is at 1,400 meters in Uganda, for instance. So climate-wise, it's very good for the cattle. I think the main reason why people tend to go into crossbreeds is that they want to have more like a dual-purpose cow, so for meat production and milk production. But when it comes to milk production, they are doing quite well. Maybe one other factor to take into account is that, let's say, the very high milk producing varieties are a little bit more sensitive, and they need maybe a little bit more feed outside the normal grass. But actually, I always say that Frisian cows, they are maybe even well known in Nigeria, but Friesland is part of the Netherlands, so actually all these black and white cows is part of our heritage in the Netherlands.
Maybe I can add something, because we saw a lot of in Kenya and Uganda these typical Dutch breeds, but the most important was that you not only import the high potential breed, but you also import these management factors like feed and housing, etc. So only this breed you won't increase production with only a good quality cow. Was the main issue.
Yeah, so it's going. That's also part of the consortium. It's also looking at the local context, and I think you were talking about it as well. I want to come back to that later. It's always one of the pictures where you not only look at the high-end technology that might be important, but also looking at what fits the context and what is suitable for Uganda. And sometimes it might mean not high-end technology, but it means perhaps a bit more labor, but with a mixture of some technology. So that's also something the consortium looks at. That was especially this looking at the stables and the way they're being designed. It's also something the consortium looks at the management of stables and the milking conditions. Perhaps very familiar. I don't know if you have more to tell when it comes to the pictures. Unfortunately, I wasn't there. And in the end, perhaps you know these kind of milk cartons as well. You have to, and in Holland, they're always made from paper, and here they're plastic types. So in the end, the consortium visited and did some market research, and while we were looking at several. And this is not in Uganda.
It's Uganda also.
This is still in Uganda. Yeah. Okay. It's much greener than. Yeah. And here they were at the market, I think. The
milk
delivery of the products. The first process. Yes. And in the end of the mission, the partners came together and found the local partners, well, the Reline group, which is a group of 50 farmers. And they had a very fruitful meeting where they found each other, so to say, in terms of business, and also to look forward to further cooperation between the Dutch farmers and the Ugandan farmers. Okay, you see some more. This was the group, the Reline group. As I said, it's about 50 farmers. These are the Dutch. They're going to partner up with the Dutch consortium, and most important for them as well is to look at farming as their own business. What you see very often is that farming is being done on the side. People own a large piece of land, and besides that, do also do another business. But they want to make dairy farming a serious business, and they're very keen on improving production and processing of this milk, and also looking at health and feeding. So all the components of producing milk, and that's why the Reline group was decided to partner with us, and we are working hard on a memorandum of understanding. Once we have established that, we can do more business with each other. This is it. They already visited the Netherlands just about 1.5 months ago. I thought it was quite cold. We were wearing large blankets to keep warm during the trip. And this is just four farmers of the 50, and not all of them. Okay, so this was the yes.
Can you give some details about the business? Are there 50 farmers? How many cows are they going to plant to breed?
Some of them, many of them, yes. Maybe Hilde can jump in there, because of the business case of the villa. So how many cows do they have? What type of land is it? How large, etc. Is it comparable to?
Well, the area of land is quite big. But they have around, well, most of these members, they are at the moment with around 50 farmers in the western part of Uganda. Both visited them, and they do have around 200 cows, both meat and dairy. But the production is quite low, so I don't know exactly an amount of milk production, but so around 200. But an amount of land, do you know?
No, they are big, but they have 200 cattle.
Yeah.
But then they want to. They are now producing maybe 10 liters per day, but they want to go to 30 liters per cow. So that is basically the investment.
And who are the clients, and what pricing have they put in mind? If you look at the supply line they are planning, and you start here with the breed, the farm, but what next? Because you need to have the offtake.
There's a lot of offtake. Unlike in Nigeria, I think the milk consumption is very high. It's in Uganda, it's 100 liters per capita per year. In Kenya, even 150 liters per capita per day. And the trend is that farmers will get paid in the coming years on the basis of not only the quantity but also the quality. And what these guys will do is, since they have relatively big farms, to go immediately to the highest quality level. And for instance, our Friesland Campina milk processing company, who's also in Nigeria, is one of the companies that looks into, let's say, penetrating that market, also using local milk, but only in the higher quality.
So this can go to the next stage, which could mean butter production, cheese production in the end. So it will start. Is there any vision where it will go to? Because if you think about Nigeria, with 167 million people, you think about getting whole supply lines. That's easy to say from the beer sector, going from sorghum, brewing, and the whole thing. Took us also many years together. But if you want to plan this, also for Nigeria, you really need to see already how many farms, how many farmers do we need, what production will be there. Friesland Campina be the client of the milk. So
but then at least
you need to paint the picture.
the demand is really soaring, and not only in terms of milk for consumption, but especially also processed milk, and especially cheese is becoming very big, especially the types you can use in pizzas, let's say for convenience food. So the demand, it's difficult to keep up with consumer demand.
I'm not sure, do you want to provide some more information on the poultry?
Maybe a bit of poultry.
I think that's good because there's a specific interest in poultry as well. So.
Still, before you go to poultry, if you look here at the Nigerian community being present here, who is interested in this dairy? Okay.
What I'm looking at is I want to know the result of the visit to Uganda and Kenya. And then what can you tell us? What's the story about matchmaking and business development between Kenyans and then the Ugandans, and what are the levels of business relationship, and at what level are you now? Because that should be a case study for any Nigerian now to say, yeah, this is where we can now see information, and then we get to say, okay, we are interested in dairy development, and how do we go the same pattern, or do we have a different pattern?
So as far as I understand the question, I'm also looking at my colleagues at the same time answering it, is that before going into a partnership or into a match with you, there was first a mission coming from the Netherlands going to Uganda and to Kenya to explore the different types of farmers, the different groups, and also see what their level was in terms of productivity, but also how they were farming at the time. And then it slowly established. This consortium was built onto slowly with more and more companies. And this consortium then introduced itself to the Ugandan farmers. And by picking the right group in this case, the Reline group, the matchmaking has just started. They've just come about 1.5 months ago for the first time to the Netherlands. They've seen these companies in the consortium. And slowly this business relation is now building up. We're at a very early stage in that sense.
In that regard, then now you can now say, okay, what we show you is we are staging out the Kenyans and Ugandans. Then the question of Nigeria, particularly, I am from the National Chamber of Commerce, and I think I can stand to speak for my members who are interested in this business. So that's why I want to educate myself very well. And then I'll now say, okay, when I go back, I'll put it at the council meeting and I say, okay, we have a visit to Holland, this is what we come from. Who are interested, then we gather the interested parties or whatever, and then now we link up through the chamber and then facilitate a visit, either side. Whether you first come, tell them, because you have told me now, and then I've said what I've said, then now we now say, okay, but to summarize the situation is that this is an old trend in Nigeria, very, very old, as old as Nigeria. The problem is the habit of milk consumption by nation, by Nigeria. It is in other part of the country, milk consumption is high than the other part of the country. And the issue of husbandry and husband are also on the other side of the country, higher than the other side. But now in Nigeria, almost every part of Nigeria, there is cattle rearing activities, whether for meat purpose or for milk. And I want to agree to you, I want to tell you that it is a potential and an opportunity. And I said, I will indicate my interest to carry forward this information.
I think,
Yes, of course.
I think we can as well invite your team already to Nigeria so we can totally study the situation together and develop something. I'm sure we have members that have been importing cattle from the Netherlands into Nigeria. of members that might be interested.
But maybe it's good to add that if we talk about the value chain, it is starting, you can say, with the cow. But the cow is, we call it genetic, so we have also the suppliers of semen are in the same team, so to say that which is the type of cattle that is most suitable. Then we have the suppliers of medicine for cattle and so forth, so that we have all these. Beforehand, we always went to Nigeria. We said like we are going for agribusiness, but it was still that is very wide, and so it's very difficult. And now we are more saying we are now saying we have taken, let's say, one specific subsector to a country which has opportunities, and then I think, if you ask what business came out of it so far, I think at least half of those companies they found now an agent in Kenya and or Uganda. The biggest cooperative of the Netherlands is now, which is the second biggest in the world when it comes to dairy, is now doing market research more with an investment perspective. So the
potential
cheese processing equipment has been bought by Kenyans and is now ordered by Ugandans. So by this approach, I think we see also quite quickly a lot of business taking place.
Because it's more specific, and I think also on the poultry we have to do something. We are already so advanced in poultry, but we still import poultry. So we have to look at the slaughters, because we import poultry from Dominican, GPS in the Netherlands here, maybe you know them. But we have to look at the chain, because what we demand in Nigeria is not what is being used here. So I think in the poultry also we have to look at it, because we import a lot of legs, wings and backs when you consume the breast. So
Exactly, yeah.
So when we have a kind of development, we can build in proper slaughter houses there, and spot back the breast and take over the wings and.
That's a good one. Yeah.
The next one.
Maybe very short, I will tell you about the poultry program. It's a similar program, so the girls, etc., but of course the players and the Dutch companies and the knowledge institutes are a little bit different. We do have some representatives of the slaughter industry around for poultry and for livestock, so you maybe already met them. The consortium, the Holland African Poultry Partners, at the moment focusing mainly on Ethiopia.
Maybe Hilde, it's good that you introduce your own background in poultry. I'm sure that people like it.
Well, the last 5 years I was living in Ethiopia, working in several poultry programs together with the Dutch embassy and trying to connect Dutch companies to the Ethiopian sector. My background is in animal science and mainly focusing on poultry. And now I'm the coordinator of both the dairy consortium and the poultry consortium of NBC. In Ethiopia, NBC was organizing a trade mission meat and poultry in 2011, and there was quite a large request also from the Ethiopian side and from the Dutch companies to do something after that, follow up, not only organize this mission, but to discuss about how can we transfer more the knowledge, the input of the poultry sector there. So the same setup as the dairy program is done for the poultry. 50% is organized, the budget is organized by the Dutch government, and 50% is organized by the Dutch consortium, so the knowledge institutes, the universities, the practical training institute, and the commercial companies. But there was a big demand for knowledge transfer for commercial farms. this program. We just started in the second year of the program. We organized already several activities. I will just tell them after this. The consortium is promoting farming as a business, and the total poultry value chain is represented. The consortium members in education, supporting the Poultry Association in Ethiopia, our local partner and an important part of the sector. For example, the hers in animal feed, medicines and vaccines from Intervet or MSD and the Animal Health Service. There are also hatcheries and the slaughter part, transnational ag. Besides that, we have for